Hi loves, it's Sarah Ezrin. We're going to get into the neck today, but I think what we forget is that the neck is intricately connected to our upper back and our shoulders. So we're going to start in a shoulder opener that requires a really long tether, a really long strap. And if you don't have one that's long enough, then you can get creative with a shorter one, or you can simply interlace your hands behind your back, okay? So take this strap, leave one side extra long and the other one's going to be a little bit shorter. You'll see why in a moment. We're going to cross the strap right in the middle of the rib cage. Okay, so if you have breasts, it'll go underneath, but just think of it going underneath the pec muscles, the chest muscles. And then when I bring it around in the back, I'm crossing it. So it crosses once. I'll show you from the back. Up and over one shoulder and up and over one shoulder. Now, I know it's a little bit messy back there. Don't worry about it. First, we're going to figure out how to loop it. So we bring it around the front, we cross it in the back. Now we have both ends on either side, and we're going to bring our arms behind us to loop the strap once more. And this is why you wanted the buckle on a little bit of a shorter string than the other side. Loop it around, double up the strap. You'll get faster as you do this more often. And then once it is completely looped, I'll show you from the back again. We'll be able to work it around a little bit. So the idea is that the fronts of the shoulders start to draw back. And again, interlacing the hands behind the back, putting the hands on the hips, all wonderful, wonderful variations. Let's grab a block, put it underneath you. So you're starting in a Virasana shape. I'm going to tighten this up a little bit. Make sure the strap is at the fronts of the shoulders, so we're pulling back on the deltoid, the shoulder head. It's not like at the bones, and it's just going to create a natural drawing open of the chest. Check in with your neck. Already I feel like my head's like a little bobblehead. Close the eyes, stack the hands. If you're still figuring out the strap, then I invite you to just ditch it, do the interlace position, or just simply rest your hands on your thighs. We don't want to come to a place where we're trying to release tension and create more tension, you know. If it's comfortable to close the eyes, do so, or softening the gaze below. Observing where the shoulders are right now, and how, though the strap is starting this invitation to pull back and to open, that there's almost this recoil of the body wanting to round forward, wanting to rise up, wanting to return to that place of protection. So we honor it rather than forcing it or, thinking negative thoughts about how tight we are, all those narratives we play. What if instead on your next exhale, you invited the muscles of the neck, the upper back, the shoulders, to just melt a little more. I know for me, the longer I sit here, the more I get to kind of tighten up my strap jacket, as it's called. And then using the breath. So we do breathe with our diaphragm. That is the main muscle that pulls air into the lungs. And then when it softens and contracts up, rather it softens and relaxes, that the air presses out. But we have accessory breathing muscles too, and that is our upper chest, our collarbones, the pec muscles, all of those, the neck muscles, the scalenes are very much involved in our breathing. And when we're not breathing deeply, when we're not breathing with our belly, as many of us are afraid to do, this area of the upper chest tends to take over. So no wonder we have tight necks. So really breathe into the belly. Not to say the chest won't lift, but let that be the afterthought of the breath. And exhale. We'll do this just for a few more rounds. I know you're itching to get going. Notice how the body responds. 2 more like that. Big inhale into the diaphragm. The belly filling, the ribs widening. Press into the strap. Release. And one last one. And just an invitation for the shoulders to open. All right, getting out is not often easy. I pull around and then peel the buckle end away from the body. If you feel stuck, you can always pause and ask your neighbor or friend or partner to help you out. Release the strap off to the side and just check in, observe before we move. Observe the neck. Let's take a big inhale, reach the right arm up. You're going to reach around for your left ear, opposite ear, pulling right ear to right shoulder. Float the left hand off the floor. I like to think of it like you're pressing down into a block, but actually keep it pressing just into nothing. So you're using that resistance of the left shoulder releasing down to start to slide all the muscles of the neck away from the ears. And then you can adjust by turning your head down or up to find the sweet spot that you need today. And I really recommend moving the head slowly to find that spot. But then once you do, see if you can just stay with it. So we're not constantly adjusting in the shape. We're taking our moments like you're just combing through the knots one by one instead of trying to do the whole thing at the same time. Very slowly release the right arm, lift your head up. Let's switch to the opposite side. So the arm feels like it's dangling for some of us. You can have it on something if you need to. Left arm up and over, left ear to shoulder. I like pushing down into the air as opposed to an actual surface. I just personally feel like the feedback I get along the scalenes, the sternocleidomastoids, those are the muscles connecting the jaw, your sternum, and your chest. That personally, when my hand is kind of free, that I get a little more length. But again, up to you if your hand's on a block. Most important thing is that your jaw is starting to release. Your eyes maybe even responding a little more softly. The breath, of course, our greatest indicator. Adjust the head down or up. Find your sweet spot. 2 more breaths here. And then we'll slowly lift the head back up. All right, do have a blanket today. Have it anywhere you need to put it, back of the mat. I'm gonna turn around. Let's set up the blocks on a shelf-like position. So they're on a medium setting. We're gonna come into Anahatasana on the elbows, puppy dog pose, or the heart chakra pose as it's called. Up onto the elbows, walk the knees back so they're right underneath your hips, and then start to melt the chest towards the floor. Now, notice what the neck and the head are doing. We're not just kind of hanging here. If anything, lift the front rib cage up. It's like you're lifting the armpits into the back of the shoulder and then melt the center of the chest down. And the neck is long. Test it. Rotate your neck to the left. Rotate your neck towards the right. Draw the chin towards the chest. And then like a big nod, head towards the back. Melt your chest a little more, keep the ribs lifting. And then maybe a little maybe, ear to shoulder. Pause, breathe. From here, shift forward. Let's come into our very first downward dog. Keep the blocks near the front. We will use them pretty soon. Hands a little bit ahead of the shoulders to come in. Curl the toes. Lift the hips. Downward facing dog. And you can do a similar check-in here. So taking the neck in all directions that it moves, right? The flexion, which is the nodding. Rotation. Shaking. Ear to shoulder, the maybe, that's that lateral flexion. Huge breath in. On the exhale, let your head hang. And we'll walk the hands to the feet at the back of the mat slowly. Take your time arriving on an inhale, lengthen the spine, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, we fold, interlace the hands behind the head and get a good grip with the fingers. I like to have the heel of the hand right on the base of the skull where the occiput is. And it's not about yanking into a deeper forward bend. It's simply letting the weight of the arms create some traction for the neck. My upper back just popped. So I've been trying to pop that for weeks. So you may have your own version of snap, crackle, and poppin'. And again, it's not like a forceful pop, which is funny because I've been trying to do it for weeks, and then like right when I stop trying, it happens. That's how it works, right? Release the arms, drop the head fully. Maybe a tiny bend in the knees. I always recommended this early on. And then let's roll our way to standing. Go slow as you rise up. The head is going to be the very, very last thing to come up. So you get that sweet spot, that moment where the weight of the head and the neck creates a little massage for the trapezius. Let's meet at the top of the mat. Blocks on either side of the feet. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhaling, fold forward. Bring the hands onto the blocks. Inhale, lengthen halfway and pause. So I want the hands a little bit higher than usually where they go, whether it's on the floor or on your blocks. Now, if you don't have blocks, have them on fingertips or get creative with books, whatever. Having the hands a little higher up so that the chest is in line with the hips, and then actively slide the shoulder blades away from the ears. Keep the tailbone reaching back. So all that's going in one direction. Reach the heart and the crown of the head forward. Inhale. Exhale, we're going to fold into Uttanasana, but can you keep your shoulders lifted so the head and the neck have even more space to release? Once more, inhaling halfway, really conscious of what's happening in the upper spine. This time, exhale your hands onto your hips. Can you keep the length in the neck? Rise up slowly, inhale all the way, and release the arms. I want to do that one more time. Inhale, the arms lift. It's a slow half Surya Namaskara A. Exhale, folding. So we're not dropping the head yet. We're folding into Ardha Uttanasana. You come halfway up. Hands stay on the blocks, or put your hands where you normally do. So fingers can be on the floor, palms can be flat. But can you get that same length, that same sliding of the shoulder blade into the lung? That's what it feels like, right? It's like fitting into the pockets of the lungs. We'll fold slowly on the exhale. Keep the shoulders lifting. And then this time rising with straight arms. Inhale all the way up. Exhale your hands to your hips. Let's move a little. Inhale, arms rise. So just an awareness. Exhale, fold. It doesn't mean we have to obsess about what's happening in the neck and the shoulders. You're just aware when you inhale, reach your chest forward, that extra pull of the shoulder blades back. Exhale, step your left foot back. Place the foot onto the floor, step your right foot back, meet me in a plank pose. Remember, you can always modify with the knees down or in a tabletop position. But even here in plank pose, slide the shoulder blades down towards your waist. Keep your heels reaching back. You're going to feel kind of everything shift back. You know what? Let's do that on purpose. So just breathe, stay as you are in plank, but reach your heels back more than anything. Shoulder blades out of the ears, neck is long. And then keep that awareness in the back body, and the front body, especially the sternum, start to lengthen towards the front of the mat. So the collarbones are widening as the shoulder blades slide down. Shift forward with the shoulders. Let's lower to the tummy. You can put your knees down for support or lower yourself down with straight legs. Rise up to the fingertips. Have the hands just a little more ahead than usual, so they're on the same height of the shoulder as opposed to the waist. And then inhale, come up into a cobra like this with the elbows wide. Slide shoulder blades down. Lift the chest. Exhale and fold. Let's do this on breath. 2 more. Inhale, coiling up. So we're not jamming up, right? You're keeping the shoulder blades down. You're lifting the heart up. It may mean you don't come as high. Exhale, lower. And then 1 more. And you don't have to be at my breath cadence. You can be moving a little more quickly or even slower. Inhale. Exhale, we fold. Palms flat, curl the toes. Press into a plank pose. Pause. Inhale here. Exhale, we return back to downward facing dog. Keep the outer upper arm firm. The inner hand nice and rooted. Deep, deep breath. Inhale your right leg to the sky. Exhale, make space. Step the foot forward to the top of the mat or pull it the remainder of the way. Left foot up to the top. Inhale halfway. What's happening in the shoulders here? That extra inch of blade down towards waist. Fold. Inhale and rise all the way up to standing. Bring the hands to prayer. Let's do the other side. Inhale, arms lift up. Exhale to fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Shoulder blades down. Stepping now the right foot back and then the left foot to meet it. Hold in the plank, big inhale. Come forward with the toes so the shoulders are ahead of the wrists as you lower to the tummy. This time bring the hands back slightly so they're in line with the middle of the waist, and then coming into our first upward dog if you're ready for it. Straight arms, lift through the shins, lift through the thighs. Curl the toes, see if you can come back through plank before returning to downward facing dog. And any adjustments you need, I always often have to adjust the distance between hands and feet, the hands, whatever you need to do to really let yourself hang. Right, it is of no coincidence that the tighter our neck, the harder it is to think. Inhale, left leg lifts. Exhale, step the foot forward or pull it the remainder of the way. Right foot up to the top, Ardha Uttanasana. Big inhale. See if you can slide your shoulder blades towards your hips even further. Chest forward. Continue to lengthen as you fold. Rising, inhale all the way up. Bring the hands to the heart. Let's take 2 rounds of Surya Namaskara A and just an awareness of the shoulders. Inhale, arms lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway, Ardha Uttanasana. You're welcome to step back and lower or jump to Chaturanga or simply go to downward dog, up to you. I'm going to use my knees today. So working that shoulder blades down the back, even as we lower. Feet and legs are hips wide on an inhale. Push into the feet, upward dog or your cobra. Maybe you're adding in that additional plank. Back to the down dog. I'm pressing into the inner hand. So there's this sense of like bringing the mat closer together with both hands, but at the same time, that's what the lower arm is doing. The upper arm is actually broadening. So the wrists, the thumbs are coming towards each other. The biceps are moving apart. So you have that movement in the upper spine. Lift to the toes. Exhale, bend the knees. You can step or hop your way to the top of the mat or walk. Inhale, halfway. That was a good example of my brain doing something different than my body. Exhale, fold. I trust the body more than the brain. Inhale, rise all the way up. Bring the hands to prayer. Let's do one more. Inhale, arms rise. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look forward, lengthen. You can step back, jump back, however you like, skip it. Lowering slow. We're just trying to be aware of the body in our choices, and especially the space of the neck. We'll meet back in downward dog when you are ready. On an inhale, lift the right leg up towards the sky. Lift high up to the left tip toe, so just some extra length in the hamstring, keeping the right hip neutral. So both sides of the waist are even. It doesn't mean you're dropping the hip way down. If anything, push the right hand more into the floor. That's going to support the belly. Stay in this 3-legged downward dog, lower the left heel down. And then push the hands into the floor so the hips reach back, almost like you're getting an adjustment from your favorite teacher. But notice that as you do that, the shoulders aren't then crunching into the ears like earrings. We're actually keeping even length on both sides of the neck. Take one more inhale. Exhaling, we're going to step right foot in between the hands, round the back as you bring the foot forward. Lower your left knee all the way to the floor. All right, couple breaths in low lunge. You have the blocks if you need them. You know, it's funny because for a long time, many years in the beginning of my teaching career, really the beginning of my practice, I was convinced that I could work my way away from the blocks. And I think a lot of us do that, like in our beginner years. We're like, oh yeah, I'm not going to need props ever again. But now I'm like up on like 70 of them, like as high as I need to be, as high as you need to be. so that we can keep as much length in the spine as possible, including the neck, right? The neck is very much part of our spine. That's the cervical spine. So if you don't have blocks, I understand that can be a little challenging. Then you can have your hands on your front thigh. You can get creative. We're gonna lower the left hand to the floor or block. Take the right arm up towards the ceiling. So twisting here in this low lunge shape. Watch the left shoulder, slide it down the back. Same work we've been doing all day. Reach up through the top arm. And then take your right hand and reach it towards the back of the room. Like you're making an offering, a full breath here. Exhale, circle the right arm up and overhead. Both palms flat if the blocks are there. Set them aside, step directly to downward facing dog. Inhale, left leg lifts, working first the split leg. Rise up to the right tiptoes, stay high on the heel. Just a nice way when both legs are straight to find that equalness on the whole sides of the spine. And then we'll lower the back heel. Keep the left leg lifting, lift from the inner thigh. Now, can you push your hands into the floor? Go for more length in the side body, but without crunching the shoulders into the ears. How can you keep the upper arms wrapping down, the inner hands pressing the neck long, and get more length? It's all that standing leg. That's the hint. Stepping forward on an exhale, left knee between the hands. Lower the back knee to the floor, and then do whatever you got to do to make this a nice, yummy, low lunge shape with both space for the neck and shoulders, but then also some depth in the hips. So you do get that hip flexor release on the back leg. I mean, and what a great opportunity, right? It's these kind of poses where we see when we're willing our way forward and how that goes right to the neck and shoulders, or at least in my case. And then we'll flatten out the right hand. Again, you can keep your hand on the block, take the left arm up. Pause. I want you to think side plank in this pose. So like Vashisthasana, we're sliding the shoulder blades down, lifting the chest up, and then keep going with the top arm. Reach, 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 reach to the back of the space. You can take your gaze back. You can keep your head down. Here to release space in the neck. So whichever choice supports that best. One more inhale. And then circle both hands down, blocks off the mat if they're there. Step into a downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the right leg to the sky. Exhale, step the right foot in between the hands. From here, inhale into Anjaneyasana, the crescent lunge. And then real quick, bring your hands onto your hips for a second, bend your back knee, and just make sure the tailbone is really heavy. Right, so that's where the spine ends. It's the very tip of our tailbone, originating at the base of the skull. And maybe put one hand on your sacrum, fingertips pointing down, and your second hand, left hand behind the head. And like those 2 points are just being pulled apart as gently as possible. Feel free to keep the bend in the back knee, especially if that helps the release of the sit bones down. Reach both arms up. Bring the palms together behind the head. Keep the upper arms wrapping in towards the ears. And then bring the chin towards the chest to lift the chest to start to go back. So rather than just dropping the head, have the hands be like the barrier to remind the neck that it needs to lengthen, and instead go up, 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 up with the heart. That front thigh drops down, the arms wrap in, you're supporting your head. Maybe the gaze can start to shift up, but it's really coming from the upper spine. One more inhale. Bring the torso back upright towards that neutral position. Reach both arms up, palms can touch if it feels okay. Now maybe take the head back, just notice the difference and let it go, hands down. Either a vinyasa, stepping to plank and lowering, or directly to your dog. Really, you do you. Whatever's going to help you create space and feel supported. Left leg, inhale. Exhale, step the left foot between the hands or as far as it goes. Make sure the feet are not on a tightrope. So when you come up on the inhale into your crescent, we'll start with the back knee bent. playing with the lower part of the spine. And the sacrum's interesting because it connects into the pelvis. So it's like both part of our spine and part of our pelvis. So you can use your hands on it like a little bowl to get long there. And then we'll keep our left hand on the sacrum, fingers down. Right arm up, hold the back of the neck, lengthen those 2 points apart. And right now we're just working the spine in its neutral position, which just means the natural curves are maintained, right? What we would consider a straight spine, though we know the spine's not straight. Both arms up. Bend the elbows, remember this, hook the hands, move the hair, hook the hands behind the head, wrap the upper arms in towards each other, and rather than dropping the head to go back, lift your chest to go back. Bend a little deeper into the front thigh. Every inhale, lengthening the side body. Maybe even keeping the gaze down, because then that just removes the temptation of wanting to drop the head back. Ribs are soft. Stay breathing. Lift the heart up. One more inhale. Now free the arms overhead. Maybe you take your gaze to the sky. Just see what it's like. What's the difference? Doesn't feel great for me here. Hands to the floor, and however you want to transition your way back to your downward dog, your version of a vinyasa. Please do keep in mind that the word vinyasa simply means to place in a special way. So it's really just about intentional choices and the ordering of those choices. Big breath in. Exhale, bend your knees, end of the breath, step or hop to the top. Inhale, look forward, lengthen, lengthen. What's going on with the shoulders here? Slide them down the back, that extra inch you know you now can move. Exhale, fold. It is like breath or two extra. Stay, remain, keep the shoulders away from the ears. Chair pose, bending both knees. Inhale, reach the arms up, one breath. Rise up slow, palms together. Bring the hands to the heart. All right, hands on hips. Separate the feet and the legs hips wide. Come into chair pose with the lower body. Shins back, hips back. Sit nice and deep. Kind of similar to what we were doing in the lunge position, just reminding the sacrum and the tailbone that it's got that lengthening down that draws the low belly in. Keep the front ribs quiet. Add the arms out. Take them into a V-shaped position. Shift back with the shins, and then notice, we are going to hold here probably longer than you like. Notice what starts to happen in the upper body. That edge of willfulness and effort. Rather than willing our way through, what if you softened more, took the arms a little wider? Not to say that we're not efforting in the shape. We want that sthira, that strength, draw the low belly in. But can you also infuse it with some sweetness? Sit one more in. Now turn your head to the right and back, and your head to the left and back. Sit a little deeper, keeping this much space in the neck and the shoulders. Test it. Some of you bringing your palms to touch. That's just a place to play. One more inhale. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, lengthen halfway. Exhale, you step back and lower or jump back through your version of the vinyasa. I sometimes like when I get to this point to even just take the push-up out of it and go right from plank to up dog. You're welcome to do that. Inhale, right leg lifts. Exhale, step the right foot through, back foot is flat. Let's come up to warrior one, just one breath, flowing, Surya Namaskara B. Hands down, back to plank pose. Lower if you're taking the push-up. Inhale to your version of upward dog. Exhale, we return to down dog. Left leg, inhale, lift it slow. Exhale, step the foot forward, back foot flat. Inhale, warrior one, Virabhadrasana one. Hands to the floor, stepping back, modify as you need. You go straight to down dog, or you lower down with knees, upward dog, or you're jumping back, etc. Downward dog. Everybody hold and breathe. Challenging the breath on purpose. That's what Surya Namaskara B is about. All right, and in addition to the hip flexor lengthening and the strength building, it is meant to challenge our breath. It's meant to challenge that stress response. Watch the neck here. Big inhale. Bend the knees. Now look where you're going. Between your thumbs, end of breath, step or hop. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, keep the shoulders lifting as you fold. Chair pose, knees bent, arms up. Press and rise. Hands to prayer. We're going to do one more of those. Inhale, chair pose. So the hands can stay apart together, whatever gives space in the neck. Exhale, we fold. Inhale, look forward, stepping back and lowering or hopping, chaturanga, up to you. Inhale, upward dog or the cobra or nothing. Exhale, downward dog, last time. Inhale, right leg up. Exhale, step the right foot forward, back foot flat. Inhale, warrior one. Hands to the floor, back to your down dog, however you like. Through your vinyasa or directly back. Left leg, inhale. Exhale, step the left foot forward, back foot flat. Inhale, rise up. Hands to the floor, step back to plank pose, everybody. On an exhale, lower all the way down to the tummy, all the way down, and then meet me in a Sphinx pose. So Sphinx is elbows just underneath the shoulder heads. Hands are often more forward than you think they should be. So when the hands are a little bit further back, well, that's actually a lovely stretch for the QL and the side body. Sphinx is a little bit more lifted, a little bit more of that back bend shape. Elbows are under the shoulders, palms are flat, and then pull against the hands like you could peel your chest towards the front of the room. At the same time, draw the shoulders back. Keep peeling the hands towards you. So they're not going to move. It's that isometric contraction, but at the same time, also push your palms down. And those are opposing energies. The pull of the hands slides the shoulder blades down. The press of the palms helps to lift the collarbone. One more inhale. Exhale and lower. All right, turn your head to one side and just pause for a second. And then turn your head to the opposite side. Check in, notice the shoulders here. Come back to chin down, interlace the hands behind the head again. Back of the neck is long. Keep the forehead down. So I'm just lifting up so I see all of you. Forehead down, it can be on a block, it can be on a blanket. So the nose is free, you're able to breathe. Hands behind the head, palms together. Walk the elbows forward, 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 like they're little feet. Curl your back toes, reach your heels back, and as you walk your elbows forward, 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 keep reaching the heels back. Now, very much that same long spine we worked in our crescent, really every shape, right? It's just Tadasana. Elbows continue to walk forward, forward, forward. Use the traction against your wood floor or your sticky mat. Keep drawing the chest forward. I want you almost to imagine like you could get your armpits to the ground as the collarbones widen. And then one more long breath through the side body. Feel free to point the feet if the curling under doesn't feel authentic. Exhale and release. Slide the hands back. Have the hands underneath the shoulders now. On an inhale, lift up into a seal position. So this is like a cobra up dog hybrid. Elbows will stay a little bent, lengthen through the spine, heart up, and we lower. Let's do that 2 more times on breath. Feet are pointed now if they're not already. Inhale, coiling up. This is just a great way to stretch through the mid-back. Exhale and lower. It targets top of the psoas, QL. Inhaling, coiling up once more. And we lower. Hands a little bit further back, curl the toes. You can push to plank and then back to your downward dog. How's your breathing? Breathe in and out. Big inhale, lift the right leg up. Exhaling, step the right foot through the hands, back foot is flat. Come on up into warrior one pose. So we've been here before, we flowed through a bunch of times. Now let's interlace the fingers, setting up for humble warrior. Lift the chest up. Same thing we were doing with that strap jacket. The fronts of the shoulders draw back. Heart up, look up. Exhale, fold to the inside of the front thigh. Viparita Virabhadrasana. Humble warrior. Let the head hang completely. Keep the shoulders lifting. And if anything, I want you to think of your knuckles as going to the sky and the head towards the floor. And then release that. Come all the way back up. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, both hands down, downward facing dog. All right, left leg. Inhale, lift it slow. Exhale, step the left foot between the hands, back foot is flat. We'll come up into our warrior one, laughing at my pants. Inhale the arms up, interlace the hands behind the back. Lift the chest up, draw the shoulder heads back. On the exhale, we fold. And remember, it's knuckles up towards the sky, as opposed to overhead or even back, so that you can really feel the lift of the shoulders up. This action is called retraction. When we pull the fronts of the shoulders back, almost like you can squeeze your blades together. One more breath. Come up slow on the inhale, reach the arms, hands down, step to downward facing dog, pause, and then lower to the knees. Let's grab the blocks. So we're gonna actually repeat that pose one more time, and we're gonna use our blocks for it. So have them nearby. Downward dog as you're ready. Inhale, right leg left. Exhale, step the right foot through. And there's no guarantee that your head's gonna reach the block, back foot flat, but nice to have the option. Set your blocks up on the inside of the front leg, stack them as high as you need to, reach the arms, inhale. Interlace the hands behind the back, lift the chest. Exhale, fold, and you're gonna try to place the crown of the head onto the blocks. Some of you may reach the floor. I find I need my blocks a little bit higher given how tight my hips are today. Different body, two babies. You honor where you're at. And some of you, you may have your blocks as high as possible and still aren't even close. That doesn't matter. You don't have to make contact. It's the idea of the direction of the crown of the head going down as the arms lift up. And you may even need to adjust. I'm gonna go even higher than this. Yes, that's the stuff. Crown of the head is pressing, knuckles are lifting away. So there is this restorative quality to it, and that we are supported, but also a very active quality. The edge of effort and surrender versus will and force. Release as you're ready. Bring the hands down. You can take a vinyasa in between sides or simply step back to downward facing dog. Totally up to you. We'll do the other side. Left leg, inhale, lift. Exhale, step the foot forward. Back foot is flat. Set the blocks up. So I learned on that first side to have my blocks a little bit higher. Inhale up. It doesn't mean I have to stick to that. It's just a nice place to start from. Hands behind the back. Let's switch the cross if you haven't. So the other finger's on top, lift the chest. Exhale, fold. If you're able to get the crown onto something, then it's resting on the block. And interestingly, on this side for me, I actually could go lower, but I'm gonna stay this height. So find the heights that work for you, mess around a little. And then it's this line, the crown of the head towards the blocks as the arms lift up to the ceiling. And you'll feel a difference between knuckles to back wall, arms overhead and up. Pure shoulder retraction, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Knuckles reach up to the sky. Crown of the head presses down if you got it on something. Lots of breath into the sides of the throat and the jaw. And there may be a little trembling, a little shaking, a little trust. It is that fine line of effort and surrender versus will and force. And we'll come back up slow. Bring the hands down, set the blocks off as you're ready. However you want to find your way back to downward dog. I'm gonna go straight there. And then let's meet in child's pose, knees together. Fold forward so the crown of the head's on the floor. Come up onto the elbows, not unlike what we were doing in that Sphinx variation. We did this earlier on the blocks, except the hips are way back. Hands behind the head. Walk the elbows forward and rest the head down. For some of you, this may be zero sensation. I understand. Others of us, just stay as you are and go for that intention of length. Others of us may need something under the forehead. Others of us may not want to be down, in which case you do this upright. Draw the armpit forward, ribs down. Get right into that space in between the shoulders. And then very slowly from here, release the arms. Roll yourself up to sit. Let's set up in a supported fish position. So that's 2 blocks, one under the thoracic and one under the crown, or back of the head, not the crown, the back of the head. Lying down, so the shoulder blades are on that very first block, like a little ledge. The second block is under basically where the hands have been all day, and low ponytail was not a good choice for today's class, or maybe it was a great choice because that just gives you the target spot right away. Have both feet on the floor, arms down. Take a full breath in. We're not in Shavasana yet, sorry. And a full exhale. Our pelvic floor, our feet are all very much connected to our neck. It feels like these things are like on 2 completely different planes, but they are all interconnected. So with the feet on the ground, start activating there. Press your big toe mounds of both feet. Press the pinky mounds of both feet. Can you lift the other 4 toes up? And I know that that's like a little bit of a twister move, but you do your best. Ball of the big toe, pinky edge down, the other 4 toes lift. I highly doubt that's what's happening on my feet, but that's the intention. It activates the arches. I have no idea what's happening down there. Good enough. Ball of the big toe, pinky edge, toes lifting. Pause. Take your arms overhead on the inhale. Bend your elbows. Palms are going to be on either side of the block that's under the head. Take a full breath here. Keep this work in the feet. On an exhale, lift the block with your head as you curl up. You can even use the block to lengthen the back of the neck. Pause, stay lifted. Take an inhale. Exhale, curl up even more. It's okay to press the low back into the ground a little bit here. What are your feet doing? Take an inhale. Exhale, curl up even more. Could you imagine actually lifting off of the block by rounding? Very slowly on the inhale. Lower, right back down. You can adjust the block that's under the head to make it a little lower. Let's do this on breath. Exhale, curling up. All the way, try to get to the edge of the rib. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Not that we're creating tension in the areas that we just worked so hard to open. If anything, it's an invitation to put this practice to work. How can we move in these more challenging moments? Keep going. We'll do 4 more while also keeping the intention of surrender. Exhale, curling up. What's happening in the feet? Inhale, lower. Exhale, curl up. And lower, down. Slow. Back of the head is on the block. You can flip it till it's the same height as the first block for a little more back bend. You can keep it high. You can go even lower. Stretch both legs out. Lengthen the back of the neck. Rock and roll side to side until you feel like your shoulder blades are supported like a little shelf. Take a deep breath in. Exhale completely. From your feet to your pelvic floor, to the diaphragm, to the neck. Inhale. Arches draw up, sit bones widen, belly expands, the neck opens. Exhale, belly pulls up, chin slightly down, back of the head against the block. One more. We're going to roll to a side. That was not Urshavasana. We got one more thing we're going to do here. And then come on down, get everything out of the way because we're going to lay down. We're going to need to move the elbows. And once you are down, make sure you've got room both for your arms to reach overhead and your legs to completely straighten out. Get nice and comfy wherever you're at. And then take the arms into a cactus shape position, flex the ankles. On an inhale, open the jaw, squeeze the elbows down towards the waist. Ah. Exhale, close the jaw, point the toes, reach the arms overhead, touch your finger and your thumb. Inhaling, opening the jaw, squeeze the elbows, flexing the ankles. Exhaling, close the jaw, point the toes, touch the fingertips on the breath. Now, you don't have to like squeeze your jaw shut on that exhale position. It's just bringing it away from the open shape. We'll do one more. Very exaggerated open on the inhale. Squeeze the shoulder blades together like you could pull all the muscles of the neck and the ears down, 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 down. And then on the exhale, letting it all lengthen out. Placing the feet on the floor. Roll to a side. Let's come up to sit. Set up for Ardha Matsyendrasana. So if you have something to sit on, that's great. Ardha Matsyendrasana is a classic twist. Forgive the plastic bags over all of my windows. This is part nursery, part yoga studio. So we'll sit up onto the blanket, bending the left knee under, cross the right leg on top. I always like having an extra block around. Reach up through the left arm, big inhale. My back hand is on the block as we exhale and twist. Now, very much the same work we've been doing all day. Both sides of the shoulders pull back. So the collarbones are widening. Really lift through the crown. Keep the tailbone, that right sit bone anchoring. So we're going up, 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 up against that. And then turn on the exhale. And you are welcome to take your head to the back shoulder. Or a cool thing to play with is taking your head and gaze to the front shoulder. So rotating away from the twist, which is just a nice way to get into that right side. Or of course, you can keep your head straight ahead. Remembering the work of the inhale and the shoulder blade sliding down, the exhale and the top of the head reaching more. And then very slowly release that. Swivel the legs around to stay in position. Now it's the right knee that bends under, the left leg crosses on top. Move the bottom block. Inhale up through the right arm. Exhale, we'll twist. For the first few breaths, be more concerned with length. Inhale is not just about going up, which we always teach in the twists. It's also the shoulder blades and the back body sliding down. So you go up to go down and then turn around the space you've created. Up to go down, turn around the space you've created. Shoulder blades draw towards each other. There's a little baby back bend in all twists. You can keep your gaze here to the back shoulder, straight ahead so chin's in line with chest, or turn your chin to the opposite shoulder, and that'll create just a little more release on the left side of the skull and jaw. Because it's more challenging to breathe and twist, you may notice your chest really rising. Come out a little slow, breathe there, or really imagine the back side of your body expanding, just a little more conscious. I know twists are just challenging to breathe in. That's why we move on the breath. Okay. Unwind. Come all the way around. Stretch both legs out to straight. Sit nice and tall. Tadasana for a moment. Palms on either side of the shoulders. If the hands don't reach the floor easily, I want your hands on something, whether that's blocks or fingertips, so you can feel the shoulder blades move away from the ears. We're going to press towards Purvottanasana. This is our last shape. It is a back bend shape. I'm just turning so you see my body. The hands next to us, as if you were preparing for Dandasana. Feel free to stay here, bend the elbows. That's a great place to be. Some of you may need to bend the knees, feet on the floor. Otherwise, legs are straight, palms press, lift the hips up, draw the shoulders back, squeeze the chest. Take a big inhale and then open the jaw, stick your tongue out, lion's roar. Point the toes if you like. Let's slowly come all the way back down. Bend the knees. I'd love to use the blanket for Shavasana if you have one. Again, you don't need a blanket to do this. You can do a towel. We're going to just have a little roll that goes right underneath the neck, and the other part of the blanket can be right underneath the shoulders to the waist. And we'll roll it when we get down. Bend the feet, knees, feet on the floor. Come all the way down. Believe it or not, I actually have been sleeping. The baby is almost 8 months old. My other son is turning 3. So understandable why there's a lot of neck tension in this household. A lot of carrying going on. A lot of balls juggling. Take a moment to honor as we're setting up here for this Shavasana. Support under the neck. What are the things that you carry that you may love deeply, but that can create a little bit of tension in your neck and your jaw? And not that we don't want to hold them, right? We need the effort, the support, but are we gripping? That's what we want to try to let go of, that willfulness. Big breath in. One more, lion's roar. Open the mouth, tongues out. Try to touch your tongue to your chin. Ha. And then let the lips shut. The jaw will remain open. Arms a comfortable distance from the body. The back of the head is heavy. There is that sense of softening in Shavasana. This is really one of the rare poses that we learn what it feels like to fully trust, which is also why it can be challenging for many. Sit if you need to. But if you have chosen to recline, to remain reclined, on your next exhale, I just want you to see, where can you let go a little more? It might be your shoulders, your ribs, your eyebrows. It could be a thought, a concern. Trust in the floor to hold you. Trust in the history of your practice, the strength of your back body. You got your own back. One more inhale. As always, stay longer if you like. If you are moving with me, we'll start to move the feet, ankles, arms overhead. Roll to a side. When you press up to sitting, be really conscious about it. So the head and the neck are the last things to come up. And then sit in any comfortable position. Maybe just check in with the head. It should feel like one of those little bobbleheads floating freely on the center of the spine. Bring your hands into a shape of gratitude, but also just a nice way to remind the heart to nudge a little brighter as our head humbly bows toward it. And I thank you all so much for practicing with me. If you've been enjoying these videos, I always encourage you to subscribe, and then you can leave comments and tell me more content that you would like to see. It's all about you, so please, please let me know. Also, if you don't know already, my book, The Yoga of Parenting, is available for pre-order. You can find more information on that at yogaofparentingbook.com. And just so much love to you and yours. Have a great day.